I feel like an alien. Like I feel like I'm not from here, and like I can't buy into this like structure that we're being told we have to fit into and do.
Hi, I am Judy Marie, the owner of Miracles of Health, and thank you for watching. And I'd like to ask you to please hit the like button and subscribe, as this helps us to get information out to a lot more people. And we also are sharing pretty amazing information and guests that will help you get through any challenging times. And this podcast is about getting the second win in your life and sharing many people's experiences with us. So thank you. Please hit the subscribe button. And today with me is Tommy Collier.
Hi, Judy.
Hello, Tommy. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be back. How are you?
I'm doing really well. And we really picked, I think, a pretty cool topic for today. It's hard being me during the daily challenge of being a human in today's world.
Yeah.
You know, you and I have shared a little bit about this. And today, Tommy, I really think this is pretty purposeful to explore that within ourselves and share this with others who are feeling so out of sorts, not comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah. It's an interesting topic, right? And I know we've had conversations about this, just you and me, to, kind of alluding to the fact that like, wow, some days it is really difficult to be me in my brain, in this body, and navigating the currents of this life, right?
Yeah. And here's an interesting statistic. 90% of who we are is all programming, pre-programming, whether, intentional or unintentional, it doesn't matter how it came, where it came. Only about 10% is what we are consciously developing.
And that's surprising.
Yeah. So the undoing, the waking up, and that's why I know in the Collier Collective, you teach the affirmations, you teach the repetition, you teach masterminding. Why we need this so much every day is we're breaking through. This is what it feels like to me, these sound barriers that have been put in place for whatever reason,
Yeah. Well, I think we kind of live in a world today that is not necessarily conducive to the, unfoldment of our soul. The society and just the way things are set up in this world, it's not really, if we're not consciously making steps forward, we're probably moving backwards.
Exactly. Energy doesn't stay stagnant. It moves constantly, forward, backward,
Yeah.
And to create a healthier tomorrow, it's being open in our awakeness right now.
Yep. Yeah.
So what was it like? What was it like for you, Tommy, as a child, or having different experiences here and there in your life where you try to go along with something, but might feel like, oh my gosh, this just doesn't feel right. Or I want to jump out of this realm or this body and explore and be.
I mean, some of my kind of most vivid, I would say, early memories of just feeling like I wasn't quite plugged in to like this whole illusion, if you want to call it that, was just being in school and just feeling like, why do I have to learn this? Why do I have to, you know, learn these things and do this homework and take these tests to prove that I know X, Y, Z? Like, I can just tell that like, this doesn't matter. Like, this isn't going to help me in my life necessarily. Like, this just doesn't, I'm not interested in this. I feel like an alien. Like, I feel like I'm not from here, and like I can't buy into this like structure that we're being told we have to fit into and do. And I remember times even early on where I was like depressed and really had some, you know, some pretty major like upsets for interest, like seemingly no reason, from like my parents or whatever, just not understanding like, why are you so upset? And I'm just like, I can't explain it, but I just don't feel like I'm from here, and I just don't understand why we're having to do all these things that we're having to do, like in school or just in life. Like so many things just never made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
When like we're being led down a path of very little purpose and very little meaning, that never felt important to me. It wasn't until I got older and really, I think as an adult, to where I could kind of make my own choices and decide for myself like where I wanted to go, that I started to feel like, okay, I can make this, I can make Earth work.
That,
for myself.
oh my goodness. Yeah. It's, I remember that too, being in school. Like
Yeah.
the
Like,
system.
what
You
is the
don't
fucking
question the
point?
system though,
Uh-huh.
right?
No.
You don't, if you're going to stay in
And
school.
I think that's why it makes you feel so insane, because like
Yes.
you're not taught that this is something that you can question, and you really can't. I mean, there's just not much that, you know, a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid can do about changing the way that they're spending most of their day in school. You know what I mean? You really can't question it. And so it's just like, why do I feel so like just confused and like, why does this matter? And
I think, Tommy, also, that's a sign of an old soul. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
That, and there are those who the system works for, I guess,
mhm,
never did for me.
yeah,
So that's what we're addressing for the people who could say, like, you just want to brush it off of you every day. This does not work for me. I remember sitting in fourth grade, gazing out the window, and my imagination just was going wild, and I could think of things, and the teacher would be, we had a crazy one. She absolutely tied kids to the chair. Okay. And I was one
wow,
of those.
oh
And
my,
I couldn't stand still. I couldn't sit still. It went against every fiber of my being. It just didn't make sense. So many things didn't make sense, but yet not sure how to break through that, yet an experience at a time. And what for me helped me a lot is to imagine more of what I wanted.
hmm,
Imagine more of where I want to go, who I want to be, how do I want to do this? That was like a bigger world and universe and nature, being with nature, because having your own thoughts, having your own mind, having your own ideas, of how to do this, wasn't easily acceptable.
no, yeah. I mean, I didn't learn anything in school about my mind.
Hmm.
I learned things about my brain, like that,
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
organ, right? But
Hmm.
it wasn't until I started learning about the mind and the soul and things like that that it was like, oh, okay, there's a whole nother level here of information that has not been factored in,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know?
What what would you say? Because we're talking about change. We're really talking about consciousness. And I think it's a little different for children today. There are a lot of old souls now, who've come in and, they're very a little more adaptable in ways, but this whole idea of, we're really in such a quantum leap at this time on the planet of waking up
Hmm.
and wanting to own our own body, mind, soul, life, to be free to be. Like, what were some of the, times where you could say, nothing's going to stop me. I am that unshakable. I'm part of something
Yeah.
that's a genius universe here.
I think I always had some kind of understanding, like I don't think I fully plugged in to the matrix, if you will, or the illusion of this 3D existence. So I think I always had some kind of, even if it was quiet, but just background understanding of like there is more here. I don't quite know what the more is, but I would say it wasn't until I started, really learning about spirituality and mindset and kind of all this work that we're involved in now that I really started to understand the the truth, the truth of that on a practical level, um, but the depth of that, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
uh,
And it does. It's deep, but it's also so expansive. I
mhm.
think about this idea of Santa Claus. Okay, for however it works for people. Um, I never connected into that for some reason. The Easter Bunny, the Santa Claus, sure, I like getting some of the gifts, but the what happens with a lot of children too at times when they start to find out, oh, there really isn't any Santa Claus, um, then there's this level of betrayal or this level of, can you really trust authority? Okay, wait, they're telling us this is real until we discover it isn't. Or if you're a pretty intuitive child, you're going to figure it out pretty fast. It's, but wait, this thing that people are questioning authority or what we've been taught is not really as it is or as it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was young and I figured out, I learned, it was in a pretty, it was a pretty short expanse of time. I felt like within like a year or two, learning that, okay, the Tooth Fairy, Santa, and the Easter Bunny are my parents, basically, And
Mhm.
there was definitely some upset. I remember specifically with the Tooth Fairy, there was quite a bit of upset that happened when I learned that that wasn't the real thing. But I remember feeling like, okay, well, that makes sense. But like, there was a belief in magic, I think, that kind of went
Mhm.
out of my mind, at that point. And then it took several years until becoming an adult and really learning about, quantum physics and
Mhm.
spirituality and mindset, like I keep saying, that I realized, oh, that's actually the real magic, that stuff. It's not the Tooth Fairy or the um, Santa Claus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a betrayal on some level, And I mean, I knew my parents meant extremely well, and I
Mhm.
don't remember. I never held it against them or anything, you
Mhm.
know. But it was still just kind of like, huh, okay, like, why do we even do that?
Mhm.
you know.
Is that your cat down by you?
Yes.
Hey, it is welcome to join.
Yeah, she loves to
It's part
attend.
of the videos
Maybe
that
if I
we
let
make,
her up
like
here, then she'll calm down.
that is no, that's not a problem at all. Um, so the idea of becoming more comfortable in our own skin, at least for me, Tommy, is tapping into my truth. What is authentic to me? What is it about being free to be me? But I want to go back to a few of these experiences. For example, when I started to waken up into the body's ability to heal, and then the thoughts that are connected into the vibration and frequency of the cells and the organs, and or what I think about, I manifest.
Mm,
That's how when I look at anything that's happened into my life has come because I've been open to it. It's either going to serve my healing, my highest good, the opportunity for transformation, for change. But then what happens, that ripple effect to whether it was my biological family growing up, whether it was friends, people around me, every time I would go through another cycle of awakening, it would be like, oh, now what is she doing? Oh, now what is she into? Now she's into another cult, or she's lost her mind. Okay, yeah, I've heard all this.
yeah.
I've heard like, what am I becoming? Or you better get yourself to a doctor. Okay. I mean, I've heard that a lot. You better go get this checked out. You better go get some more counseling, or you better, whatever that is. But Tommy, all along the way of the things, I mean, we have in the transition of growing through self-image, self-esteem, like changing all these paradigms. 90% of this, is what we took on in our lineage or culture,
Yeah.
society. It's not just, what we grew up in the family
No.
or their family and their family. Culture and society really supports limitation,
Yeah.
suppression, and oppression, and
Yeah.
dumb it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like sameness, like not
Sameness.
changing. Hmm.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is what you do. You go and you get this degree, or you follow this pattern, and this is what you're going to do, and then you're safe and you're secure and you'll be taken care of, and oh, that all goes out the window, okay, when there is this evolutionary change on the planet. Humanity is changing right now. What was will never be.
Never.
It
Yeah.
just is.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so much that's just in our DNA too, like ancestrally. That's kind of a new area for me that I started looking into a little bit too. That's super fascinating. Like how much stuff we come in that didn't even get programmed in this life. They're from, yeah, like you were saying, the lineage and things like that.
Um, I wrote, I wrote something down. I'm going to read here in a second. And I heard this actually even yesterday. Somebody shared this, Tommy. What if everything that has happened in your life, nothing went wrong? Nothing actually went wrong.
I actually completely agree with that.
What really, what a thought, because we spend commonly time and on the stories or the past, or what if that could have been different, and what if,
Yeah.
yeah, but what if none of it went wrong? What if it was truly perfect in all of these transitions that we're going through, and these changes that we're going through right now, to become the free, vibrant soul leader during this time in a spiritual way of our life or those around us?
Yeah. Yeah. I believe that 100%. I think everything that appears to have gone wrong is simply a preparation, a preparatory like exercise that's getting us ready for whatever we're meant to do. And that can be hard for some to accept, especially people that have been lived through amazing, insane levels of hurt or pain or whatever. Um, but that's my truth for sure.
I'm glad you're bringing that up, because this isn't undermining the challenges that so
No.
many have gone through. I know what I have gone through. What I hear stories all the time. I'm sure you hear stories all the time, and you're like, oh my gosh, how is that person still alive? Well, how is that person still here? And yet it is really our gift of transforming.
Yeah. And so my husband, Monty, the things that he's been through in his life are something that most people never even could imagine. Okay. And this is part of, I think, what has strengthened my belief in this idea is looking at him and what he's been through and who it has like forged him into being.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the heart that he has, you just don't find in most people. And I think it's because of the things that he's lived through and gone through that he's come out of the other side with just this beautiful heart and mind that I don't think would have happened without everything that he's been through.
So that's an example of someone who is breaking the bubble.
Yeah.
Okay. They're coming out of the bubble. And as we are doing this from whatever our lineage has been in our family, it's a process and it's a practice. And here's where I think where we're going with mankind is more kindness and more compassion. We're able to open up to that more, instead of, oh my gosh, this concept of judgment, of thinking, if you could just do it right, if you could just be this way, then I will be happier. If you could change this, I'll be happier. If only I will do this, even within myself, then everything will be okay. By no means. Yeah. This inner job, this inner universe and awareness is, to me, more about a time of understanding, a time of compassion, a time of being kind instead of, for me, I've always been a runner. Okay. I was a runaway as a child. Something would be whatever, I'm out of here. I'm running, I'm on to, but as we know, geographical relocation doesn't work, or you work through whatever that is within ourself. It's all a mirror.
Everything. Yeah.
Like, how have you been doing that yourself?
Well, I think for me, it's, it's been so many things, but I think one thing is just realizing, coming to remember that we are, how connected we all are, how we are, there's really only one of us here, whether you can wrap your mind around that or not, but we're really all the same. And so And like you said, it is a mirror. So everything that's happening, everything that I'm perceiving is a reflection of something going on in me. And so being able to look at that and go, huh, okay, so what is that? What is that a reflection of in me? And is there something that I need to, shift with that? Like, am I liking the reflections that I'm seeing? Or is there something I would rather see? And so taking it from this, looking at something externally and trying to, project some kind of change or need to change onto that versus going, okay, well, whatever I'm seeing out there is just a reflection of what's going on in here. So what needs to change in here for that reflection to change? So it really is an inside job.
So when do you know when that arises? Is it through intuition? Is it through that experience? What's your first onset of this? How do you know?
Well, I think it's changing it over time. It's becoming less and less time that something externally will bother me from like a feeling of it being external.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the amount of time it takes for me to realize and shift it into, myself and start working on it internally. It's getting less and less time. But I think it's just a practice. Like it's just you get better with it. Get better with it over time with some practice. But I think at this point, there's not a lot that comes up where I don't pretty immediately go, okay, what does this have to do with me?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. And being able to not project the blame
Mm-hmm.
versus and the shame versus the opportunity to transform whatever it is.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Stay in a place of like empowerment with it versus feeling victimized or like something's being done by someone or something external to myself.
I think let's talk about the solar eclipse a second.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, wow. It was a very profound experience for me. I mean, there were people who talked about some of the weird stuff that was going to happen. It wasn't like that for me.
Yeah.
It's a very very similar to the way Native Americans look at it. The sun lights up our planet, its life force to our planet, and how sacred that is and how honorable that is. And it was a time of the dying off of the past and the old. And when the sun came back, it's the renewal of what's opening up for us and what we can create. We are creators connected into what we've been created from. And that was a very profound experience, being able to feel that dying off, that shift, and to come to this place of accepting or feeling this peace
Mm-hmm.
and serenity. And this is where I got to go now. This is what I want to do now. This is,
Yeah.
how was your experience with this?
Yeah. We had a pretty great day because it was actually Monty's birthday as well.
Mm.
So we kind of took the whole afternoon off and went out and we took all the crystals out to charge them up under the eclipse.
Oh, yes.
And we got the glasses and everything to be able to look at it. And I got a filter for my camera so I could take a picture. But I'm fascinated by all things, universe, planets, stars, like all of that stuff. I love that, but I also love it from the metaphysical perspective as well. So I just took the whole thing to mean, yeah, like a transition. It's a change, an upgrade to this next chapter, this next phase of this year or life, however you want to call it. And it was a peaceful day. We took a walk under it, and I thought it was interesting how cold it got.
I
It's like when half the sun is being blocked, because we weren't in the path of totality here, right, in Colorado. But even half the sun being blocked, the temperature dropped. Like, it was just all super interesting to just be out and walk and observe, and even, looking at the shadows on the ground. I just thought it was just a kind of a mystical day. I thought
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
awesome.
definitely.
Yeah.
And what you're saying brings up for me, as I was walking through the journey of holistic awareness years ago, when I started to lean more towards the herbs and understanding the foods and understanding what these plants could do and help heal the body, I couldn't get enough of that. And how crystals help, how aromatherapy helps, essential oils, and taking a bath and Epsom salts and baking soda and oils, what that does to your body and your skin. I mean, it just will go on and on. And that's where people were used to, maybe not used to that with me, but they were questioning. They thought I went to the dark side or whatever
Yeah.
that is,
Oh, she's the witch.
She's the witch. That is, yeah, I've been called that a lot, a witch doctor. Um, and and Wayne Dyer would say that's a compliment.
Yeah.
When people are really judging and questioning, it's, but to be able to, Tommy, to feel like you're talking about, to feel that essence as you did, yesterday, and being with that, with the different crystals and the creator, God, whatever you want, the energy, the oneness, that's been put in the earth. There are so many things that have been put in this earth for our healing. There are as many plants to treat every disease imaginable that's there for people. I mean, we have access to so much, and not to say there isn't a place for Western medicine, other things, but there's a whole gamma, that's been put here for our healing and awakening, and human bodies, even just with what we're doing together, right here is, can touch so many people's lives. It's just wild. Even in this second, it could be reaching people in this second, that it's so vast.
Yeah. There's just so much that we don't like, that we're I feel like we come into this life having a level of understanding, and then it's kind of it's programmed out of us, or it's dampened, it's quieted, it's silenced,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels really good to start to wake back up to that. And when you know, and if you don't know yet, then that's when people can look at someone like you or me and say, oh, what are they into? Like, this is weird. But once you know, then you know, and you don't care that
No,
somebody
there's
might
such
not
freedom with
understand.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you don't get this yet. Bless your heart. You will at
And
some
it
point.
may not be for them, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. That's
True.
Donald Walsh. I mean, I keep reading a lot of his stuff too. It, well, if you don't, whatever it is this lifetime, you might get it another lifetime, or you
Hmm.
might not, or you might not even believe in that. But energy is ongoing, all eternal. Bob Proctor used to say many times, we're just an extra in our own movie.
Hmm.
And when you think of that, it's pretty fascinating. It, there's less turmoil inside,
Yeah.
the fear is just there to me as an opportunity. again,
Yeah.
something else to transcend.
Yeah.
We take this life so seriously. Oh gosh, I know I have, so many times. Or there would be an episode happens and, you just think, what the heck, this is all going on. And then to see it has such a purpose of purification or ascension or awakening, what you want to call it.
Yeah. 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 It's all really happening for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be difficult to go through because we've this time space reality that we're involved in here. It's very vivid. It appears very real, right? There's when we poke our finger, it hurts. When we're when someone says something that hurts our heart, it hurts. Like it hurts, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think it can be difficult being us in this life, because this is no, this is like, even though I think I kind of think of this life as like a game. It's sort of no game when you're in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like a game sometimes. It feels like, oh, this is really real and hard. Um, but I think the more that you become aware of who you truly are and why you're here, and start looking for the meaning in the things that happen and assigning the meaning, even the easier it gets.
Okay, so in winding this down a little bit, I want to weave in how love comes into this. So when I thought of oh my gosh, so many times where I'd feel like, oh my, this is so hard being me. And what made it even harder is before I learned to embrace and love and have that compassion for myself
Hmm.
during whatever, can you relate to that? This
Oh
just the
yeah,
idea that just goes
yeah,
this
yeah,
unconditional love for ourselves.
yeah. Self-love has definitely been a journey for me. I have found it relatively easy to love others,
Mm-hmm.
certain others more than some, right? But the compassion for self, that's been a journey that I've been on for a long time. Yeah, but again, the more I learn about myself and therefore you and all of us, and just kind of the nature of this whole game that we're in, the
Mm-hmm.
more the more I come to the conclusion that love is a very innate part, and I'm just as lovable, if not more, well, no, very equal to anything else that might be the object of my affection. So, and it's so much easier to love another when you're loving yourself first as a base too.
Mm-hmm. This idea of really embracing pure compassion for ourselves and thinking, for me in the past, not deserving or not worthy of a good life. Okay. That being so uncomfortable in my own skin, I didn't know I was worthy of a good life. I was worthy of good things to happen. And many, many times years ago, Bear Watcher, he was an Apache medicine man who worked with me. We would sit at the beach for hours, really saying nothing, okay, just feeling and just being. But what he would say, he would say, see this little grain of sand? If it said, oh, you don't need me anymore, I'm just going to go away. And then the next one said, you don't need me anymore, I'm going to go away. And before you know it, there's no beach. Okay. The sand, even every single grain of sand has worth and value. As he would say, so do we. The part of this life is embracing that, learning that more, at least it has been for
Oh
me,
yeah.
of self value. I am deserving. I am worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad for the contrast of my upbringing or past lives, because to be awakened to this point in place and to be able to honor even that grain of sand as much as I would even honor myself. Wow.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And like every, the more you learn about your nature and the universe, like the more you realize like nothing is inherently more valuable or less valuable than anything else. It's all of just pure extreme value. And everything that most people, I would say, or all people, believe about themselves that is from a place of not loving, it's just been some kind of lie that's been picked up somewhere along the way, like babies, they come in just loving themselves, right? Like you can see it. It's not until a little bit of time on earth that, you know, a child starts to think of itself other than purely positively,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's all just been installed at some point, some belief system that says, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you can
Yeah.
remove that kind of stuff, I think that the love just comes in naturally when you're not believing in those lies.
And I think that's what we're allowing to die off.
Mhm.
All of what is not true.
Yeah.
Okay, that what, however that came about isn't important. What's important is recognizing then what is true to me, what does have true value to me. And I think a lot of our personalities have come from those lower frequencies and vibrations and stuff of the past to, then as an adult or where we're at now, being able to create the identity we want to have and to create the individuality, as we all are one. We all are individual in the sense, a piece of that, a part of that, that we have freedom to change.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, Anything you'd like to wind this down with? Any thoughts?
I don't think so. You?
I keep thinking of, Tommy, that saying, nothing ever went wrong.
Yeah.
I'm mystified by that. I mean, of course, these are all, some people would say this is also mystical anyways,
Yeah.
but we can be part of the miracles. We could be part of the magic and part of mysticism, and be able to be free to be our unique self, but yet know, like the grain of sand, the beach, we're there for each other. We're there still for part of the whole.
Yeah. I love that idea because if nothing ever went wrong, then that means everything went right. And there's a reason for, I believe everything, like everything happens for a reason. So that means everything happened for a right reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to go and dig into and extract value then out of every situation that can help me for whatever the next thing might be.
Mm-hmm.
So
What
I
I
love
hear
that.
you saying is, you're creating the best out of whatever it is.
Hmm.
You're just that we can expect the best, we can create the best out of what this is, whatever that is.
Yeah. And harvest the good out of every situation, no matter how difficult.
Harvest the good. I love that.
Yeah. Bob used to say that. Originally, I think Michael Beckwith said that. but I love that phrase.
Harvest the good.
Yeah.
Well, I trust anybody listening to this, they're going to harvest the good. We will too, and expect the best, and that it can only get better and better. And that's what will come to us, because that's our truth and our thought form with it, no matter what. I will not settle for less than the best that I can keep creating.
Same.
And thank you for sharing today.
My pleasure. So happy to be with you always, Judy. Thank you.
Thank you.